Hey, what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario, or Mordecai, I guess you could call me. But today, I am going to be comparing and contrasting both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Thankfully, I do own both systems. I've had a lot of fun with them. But I want to talk about the pros and the cons of each one, what I'd recommend for which audience, and finally, what my current preference is right now, as is. So, first off, yes, I do have both systems right here, well, the controllers at least. I have the Xbox One, which I purchased first on the first day of release, and I have the PlayStation 4 right here, which I ended up getting a little less than 2 months after the Xbox One. I always said I was going to, get the PlayStation 4 later, and I'll even own the Wii U later. I have said this multiple times, but I wanted to get the Xbox One first, because at the time, I did not want to spend, about $1,000 in less than a week, and then more than that on games and PlayStation Plus and all that stuff. But the Xbox One appealed to me more. However, I decided to get the PlayStation 4 because I actually saw one in town. There was only one. It was late at night. And I decided to pick it up because I figured the price on it is probably not going to drop for a while, and they are still very hard to find locally. So I just kind of picked it up on a whim, and I've had a lot of fun with it. But I wanted to compare and contrast the two of them. So, first off, where to start, I guess. They're both great systems. I haven't had an issue with either of them. Aside from a few hiccups here and there, like for example, a game crashing on the Xbox One, or the fans revving up on the PlayStation 4, there hasn't been any game-breaking, game-crippling glitches, so to speak. Nothing that has been a system failure. And before I actually had said that I was having some issues watching movies and such on my Xbox One, I actually made a video of this on my side channel, but I pretty much facepalmed really hard when I realized that it was actually HDCP that was blocking me from watching most movies because I have my Xbox One hooked up to my Elgato at all times, because that's how I play my games. And then if I want to record anything, I can come over to my computer here and fire up the game capture program, and I'll be good to go. Anyways, when it comes to both these systems, pros and cons, what would you want to choose? Well, first off, I'll say this. If you're getting the PlayStation 4 just because you're saying, oh, I've always been loyal to Sony, I'm a PlayStation person in and out, it's not really a reason to get it. On the flip side, if you are getting the Xbox One because you're saying, oh, well, I've always played games on the Xbox 360, that was the best platform, I'm already paying for Xbox Live, I'm a Microsoft fanboy, no, that's not good either. You really need to compare and contrast these two. So first off, the systems are both pretty similar when it comes to builds. With all the geeky technical specs and all, they both have Blu-ray drives, they both have 8GB of RAM, although the PS4's RAM is better, as the PlayStation 4 does sport GDDR5 RAM, while as the Xbox One supports it just has regular DDR3 RAM. DDR4 RAM is going to be coming out, hopefully, and the systems that are coming out next gen from some leaks here and there, but that's a whole nother thing. And it's supposed to be faster than GDDR5. Just throwing that out. With the CPUs are both very powerful and quite similar. However, the PlayStation 4's CPU does act better and it is more powerful than the Xbox One's. And both consoles are x86 in architecture. You might be asking, I don't care about this. Why are you telling us? Well, I'm saying that because now games should be more fluid, they should be coded easier, and developers should be able to make better games for generations this time around, as opposed to last generation where, you had to work on x86 architecture on PC, and then power PC on these consoles, and then, the whole core CPU, not the core CPU, no, the cell CPU, that's what it was, on the PlayStation 3, which factually was the best CPU of last generation consoles, but it was so complex that, they got all the bad ports of games and everything. Essentially, what I'm trying to say here is both of these consoles are very similar, even though there are some drawbacks and such here. Yes, the Xbox One is a less powerful system, but it is more entertainment-based. In case you don't know, it does have 3 operating systems running on it. It has the Kinect features running on it, if you do have the Kinect, which I'll get into in a bit. And finally, it has more fluidity, I guess you can say. It sounds weird saying that, but with both systems, I will say, in the OS, the whole operating system, getting through the user interface, the Xbox One is snappier than the PlayStation 4. That's what was designed with it from the get-go. That is the fact of it. Deal with it. Yes, the PlayStation 4 is more powerful, but the Xbox One is snappier, hence the whole, snap thing going on with it. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring up specs into this is I want to talk about the games. First off, there's really not any games out for either of these systems, but let's be real here, the Xbox One games that have been multiplayer and even the exclusives have kind of gotten the short end of the stick as opposed to all the PlayStation 4 games coming out. The Xbox One games are running at lower frames per second and they are running at lower native resolutions. And games such as Tomb Raider Definitive Edition or Fraud Edition, whatever it is, I don't think they should be re-releasing it, but whatever, that's going to be coming out. It is native 1080p on both consoles, yet on the PlayStation 4 it is an average of 60 frames a second, while it's on the Xbox One it is an average of 30 frames a second. This isn't good. It's really not good because it's not looking good for Microsoft, and while as most consumers, if you are watching this video, you probably care about that stuff, but most consumers, let's be real here, will not care about it. If they really did, consoles would have died a long time ago, and everybody would be playing on PC in an ideal world, and they would have, at minimum, a Titan in their PC. Aside from that, though, the reason why I'm saying this is because don't judge these first few games as they are right now. Yes, the Xbox One, this is the frustrating thing about it. The specs are about on par, but at the same time, with all these games coming out, it just seems like they're so far apart. And coding on them, the Xbox One, it might be a bit harder to code for if you're a developer, but it shouldn't be leaps and generations harder compared to the PlayStation 4. What I'm trying to say here is also, give the game some time. Look at launch games from last generation, for example. There's games that came out really early, let's say like Project Gotham 3 or Cameo, and we finished out the generation with great-looking games like The Last of Us, Beyond Two Souls, Halo 4, great-looking games like that. Developers need time to master these systems. That is why, there were so many games coming out where the resolution is this on one system and it's this on another system, or on one system it has a higher frames per second than another system. That is just because, yes, the PlayStation 4 is more powerful right now, and they are able to do less optimizations on it because of that. But the Xbox One should be climbing up there with that. Now let's talk about the games here, and let's be real, the games out on the system, well, there's not really any games out on each system. Now yes, I'll also say one deeming factor I had that made me get the Xbox One first is that it has better exclusives, in my opinion, and kind of more, I guess you can say, than the PlayStation 4 at this moment in time. For the Xbox One, I have Dead Rising 3, I have Rise, and I have Forza 5, which I have had a lot of fun with all of them. As for the PlayStation 4, I rented and played through Knack, which is a rental at best, and I own Killzone Shadowfall, which is alright. But I can say the exclusive retail games out on Xbox One are better at this moment in time. Now, I'm sure that's going to change when more exclusives come out on each system, but that's kind of how it is right now. One thing I have to say, though, that I'm kind of disappointed with is, with the Xbox One, you're actually paying for your games, while as with the PlayStation 4, if you have PlayStation Plus, which is required if you want to play online with this system, you get so much more value out of that. First off, it is already cheaper than Xbox Live, then in addition to that, they give you free games. I didn't get any games with my PlayStation 4 because right off the bat, I got Resogun, Contrast, and Don't Starve for free. And one nice feature that is there is, let's say there's a game that you buy on your 360 and it is later ported over to the Xbox One. More than likely, you can't play it. At one point, I got the PlayStation Vita first, back in November. Actually, I got it the day the PS4 came out. I bought Flower on the Vita. I found out that when I bought it, I was able to play it on the PlayStation 3. Then they released on the PlayStation 4 here, which meant that I had bought one game just one time, but it spanned across 3 different platforms. To me, that is awesome. I am looking for more value on there. If I could choose between games or features, I'm honestly going to choose over games because that's what I want to use my consoles for. That's really it. With the Xbox One, yes, they've released better games for gold, but only on the 360 so far. They are talking about plans of bringing it to Xbox One, which they should, but so far, there's really no free games on there. And there's not even any, there was like one discounted game that I saw, and it was a golf game, but I don't know how many people are going to go crazy over that. Aside from that, I have bought one retail game, which was Halo Spartan Assault, which I'm having fun with, but I will be honest, I am a big Halo fan, so it's pretty hard to displease me when it comes to Halo games. Now, the pricing of each system, we already know. It is no secret that the Xbox One is more expensive. It is the most expensive game console out right now of this generation. It is $100 more than the PlayStation 4, and that is mostly attributed to the fact that it has the Kinect bundled in. Now, if you look at the PlayStation 4, if you bundle in the PlayStation 4, I guess it came with a Move bundle, I'm not 100% sure, but it came with something else, and it came with a camera. If you get those equate it to about $500, so it's really the same thing. And I'll say this right now, some people were saying, oh, I'll get the PlayStation 4 because it's cheaper. Well, for me, I've almost paid the price differential on it, maybe even more. The reason why I'm saying that is because one big thing with the PlayStation 4 is that it has HDCP on it, and Sony has still not put out a patch. This probably won't affect most of you watching this, but for people like me who do like to record gameplay footage, I had to pay over $50 to get all the hardware to bypass that HDCP encryption so I could record nice gameplay footage on my computer over here. The Xbox One does not have that unless you are trying to watch a movie, which is what I have tried to do before and accidentally realized that that was actually my wrongdoing on there. But with the PlayStation 4, yes, an HDCP patch is supposed to come out that will remove it, but I want to know why it's taking so long to remove. And if it was announced before the console was out, I'm trying to figure out why they didn't remove it, at most within the first 2-3 weeks it came out. Honestly, I feel like Sony is really going to try and push it out as long as they can, just delay it as much as they can, but until then, I had to bypass everything, so I had to pay that price differential on there. But going back to all of this, is the Kinect really worth it? I would say yes. I have actually had a great time with the Kinect, and I was one of those people who, I had 2 Kinects. I had my first Kinect, and I used it, and I liked it, and then it was just kind of tedious, and I stopped using it, and it collected dust, and I gave it to my family. My second Kinect I bought thinking I would use it, and it was really cheap, and I used it like twice, and then never again. The Xbox One, the thing I don't really like about the interface is that it is not good for a controller, I want to say. Everything with the 360, the dashboard on there was much easier to use with a controller. On here, it is actually the opposite. The dashboard is designed for you to yell at your Xbox and use the Kinect and use the hand gestures and all that. As silly as it sounds, the Kinect is actually pretty awesome. I've been very impressed with it as a piece of hardware. Also, I really like the fact that I could turn on my Xbox there and everything, and I could just sit in front of my couch, and it will detect my face, and then it will get, it will sign me into my account. I think that's awesome. Is it a big NSA spying device? Yes, it is. But you know what else is a spying device? This webcam I'm looking at. This phone I have right here. And I'll be honest, if somebody on the other side really wants to spy on me using my Kinect, I'm pretty sure they're going to get bored of me sitting in front of my TV for a few hours playing my Xbox without a shirt. I don't think people really want to watch that for hours on end. Going back to the PlayStation 4, I will say if that $100 really matters to you, I would say yes, it is great to have that you are saving that right off the bat. But again, as I said, I'm kind of paying the price differential there between the two because I had to get a PlayStation Plus membership and I had to rip off HDCP. And also, I feel like to get the entire, next-gen PlayStation experience, one nice thing you could get, which I really want Sony to do, is make a PlayStation Vita bundle. In case you don't know, I also do have a PS Vita. I absolutely love the thing. It is one of my all-time favorite handhelds now. It has a great game selection on it. I really like it. And it actually has some connectivity with the PlayStation 4. Now, I will say it kind of brings the whole experience together, which is nice. But I have not heard anyone talk about this, so I want to talk about this. There is an option on there called PlayStation 4 Link, which means you can kind of use your PlayStation Vita as kind of like the Wii U tablet controller, meaning you could remote play into your PlayStation 4, which is pretty neat to do. What I've done before is, I'm about to go to sleep, and if my PlayStation 4 is in standby mode, I can turn it on from there and start playing games on there while I'm in my bed, which is my bedroom's over there, which is really nice to do. The only thing is, unlike the whole Wii U tablet, which they were, kind of trying to mimic, I feel like, it is a good controller for what it is, but you do get that delay. I was playing Resogun on there, and for the first time I actually lost in a while because of that delay, because it uses Wi-Fi. Now, I have my Xbox and my PlayStation 4 here hooked up to a gigabit switch. That switch is hooked up to my full 100 megabit line, so what I'm trying to say and maybe brag about a tiny bit is I don't really know what lag is, thankfully. But the problem is then you're transmitting all that through Wi-Fi, and it just doesn't work out as well. So there is a bit of a delay on that. Now, if you're playing a puzzle-based game or something, like Contrast, for example, it would be perfect for that. It is great, and it works out as is. But if you're playing something that really requires, specific timing and such as Resogun, or maybe even Killzone, then that's where you're going to run into some issues and such, and that's where I wouldn't recommend it as much. But I've had a lot of fun having the PlayStation Vita with the PlayStation 4. They really complement each other, and I think it's a shame that Sony has not released a bundle out there. But technically, I guess with that, I kind of have spent more on the whole PlayStation side of things. Now, when it comes to the user interfaces and such, I have to say both of them have been awesome. First off, Sony's is basic, it's the XMB, it's what I like. And it's fast this time around, unlike the PlayStation 3. I brought some friends over, and they were more impressed overall at how fast the system was compared to the PS3. There's really no lag on there unless you are a big YouTuber or you have a well-known account and you start getting a bunch of friend requests. Then if you do that, then you're going to get some lag and all that. But aside from that, it is light years faster than the PlayStation 3, which is always appreciated. Now with the Xbox One, I don't like using the user interface with the controller. I just don't, but I use it out of laziness. However, with the Kinect, it does work out quite well, but I don't want to yell at my console all the time. So I guess it kind of ties in there as average. I want more customization though. I don't want to have my background be black all the time. Microsoft, I really hope you're listening to that, because right now, PlayStation 4 does look a bit better menu-wise. When it comes to the controllers, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. With the Xbox One, they actually made the controller a little bit smaller, and apparently they put a lot of research and development into making this controller better, which is kind of, I don't know, it's more comfortable, it fits better in your hand, I can say that, and the triggers are great on here. However, the one thing I hate, I hated it before the controller came out, and I still hate it, is the bumpers right here. They don't pop. They don't click like on the 360. I don't know who designed them. I don't know why, but this is not better. This is actually a downgrade. Aside from that, I really like the controller as is. With the PlayStation 4, I will say this. The controller was actually elongated and it was made a little bit bigger because for some reason, people had not played PlayStations for 3 generations and suddenly thought the DualShock was the worst controller out there. I don't know why, I can't wrap my head around that, but that's what happened. All of a sudden, near the end of the PS3's lifespan, people started bashing on the DualShock, as if they didn't play with the controller for the past 2 generations. Anyways, going back to that, they did elongate the controller, and it is very comfortable. In fact, I feel a little bit more at home with it than with the Xbox One controller. It is just that comfortable. However, there are 2 things I hate about this controller. First off, the LED light. Sony is going to be putting out a patch that will allow you to enable and disable it. There is no need for it to be so big. There is no need for it to be so bright. I really don't know why it's there either. It is, okay, I know why it's there. It's kind of a sensor for the PlayStation camera, the PlayStation Eye, if you decide to get that. And it's a nice little thing, I guess, but also in games, they try and make it interactive where, if you're about to die in Killzone, it turns red, but if your health is all up, it turns green, and then, you can color differentiate between all the controllers. I don't care about any of that. The reason why I complain about it is because this thing zaps my battery life down a lot faster than the PlayStation 3 controllers. That's why I really can't wait for the patch to come out that will disable this thing, because once I disable this thing, it is disabled. I don't care about this anymore. I really don't. The second thing that I don't really hate as much, but I'm kind of indifferent about, is the new buttons right here. Now, I haven't had as much of an issue with this, but here instead of start you have options, and here instead of select you now have share, which is completely different. Options pretty much subs in for start. Just same thing, different name, deal with it. With share, I've actually had a few friends who've told me that they've had the issue of accidentally wanting to hit select, and they hit share, and what happens is they're playing their game, and about half a second later, the game freezes, and then it cuts them out, and it asks them if they want to share what on where. That's a bit annoying, but I feel like we'll just get used to it. What I really don't like is this whole sensor thing. In case you don't know, this is kind of a touch sensor, and it's also a button technically. Now, you can use it in the new Killzone game where you have that little robot thing behind you, and you can use this to command it. I played with it. I think it's stupid. I don't see a need for this. I really don't. When I was seeing it in proof of concept photos and videos, I thought it'd be something cooler. It's really not that cool. Now, it seems like I've bashed a little bit on the DualShock controller, but I will say there is one feature on this that no one talks about that redeems the whole controller for me. It is down here, and it is the headphone jack. This, to me, is one really awesome feature that the PlayStation 4 has that no one talks about, and one feature that the Xbox One really needs. Because the Wii U has this, the PlayStation 4 has this, the Xbox One doesn't. In case you don't know, you can use, at the end of your 3.5mm jack for whatever you're plugging in headphone-wise, if you have a 3-banded headphone jack in there, that'll act as your left and right channels for audio, but it also acts as a microphone, so you can do that. But what I'm trying to say here, normal talk, is you can take any headset you want to, even if it doesn't have a mic. You won't be able to talk, but you can take a headset. So if you have a really nice headset, you just plug it in right there, typical 3.5mm jack, and you can silence, you can go in and option it so you could silence any sounds coming out of your TV, but you can have all the sounds come through your controller and go to your headset. And to me, that is awesome. I really like playing some games if I have some nice high-quality headphones. I use Audio-Technica ATH M50s for my headphones. They are great. I'm sure many people who have families in their houses or who have roommates and such, I'm sure not only they would appreciate this feature, but the people they live with would really appreciate this feature. And I will say, this past week or so, it was my mother's birthday, and I ended up giving her a present. I gave her a new TV. What happened was, to go there, I kind of wanted to show her, what HD could do, so I brought the PS4 with me, and it was very convenient, because I wanted to play some games late at night, and to make sure I wouldn't wake her up or anything, since it was in the living room, I just plugged in my headset, I was playing my games, I was all relaxed just playing like this, and it was perfect. To me, that is a little feature that Microsoft should have put into the Xbox One, and for some reason they didn't, and it would have made the controller just that much better. Because I will say, I have to say, this is probably my favorite feature of this entire system. The system is fast, it is powerful, it has some good games on it for what it is now. But my favorite feature is the headphone jack, out of everything on there. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about, kind of wrapping this up, is the features that the systems have. I will say that the Xbox One, yes, it has more multimedia features right now. It has more social features and such. It has Skype on there, which really appeals to me, while as Twitch, it has on the PlayStation 4, it has Twitch streaming, which is super easy to access. Both of them have their positives and negatives. I really can't decide on either. I like the feature sets of both systems. I really haven't streamed or anything, but the Twitch streaming in one click is really nice on the PlayStation 4. While at the same time, the Kinect is a really awesome camera, and I really like using that for Skype, and it's pretty awesome when I can Skype with someone and play Forza or Dead Rising at the same time. I really like that feature. Now, to each his own, some people might think that feature is stupid. I personally like it, and that is one reason why I wanted to get the Xbox One first. But you could even flip that around to the PlayStation 4. Not everyone wants to do, live game streaming right there. There's people who, as I said earlier, do not like this share button, and that is acceptable. Now, I wish they could have added some more features in there with video sharing and such. Like, for example, I really don't want to post on Facebook. I don't want to spam that with gaming content. I just don't want to. It would be nice if it allowed me to upload to YouTube or even, Twitch or maybe Dailymotion or something, but it is pretty limited for what it is, so it's alright, honestly. It's cool, but it's alright. But with all this, I've talked about the features, the prices, how games are going to be playing out, the controllers, everything like that. Now, the last thing is, one of the last things technically, what should you get? I will say this. If you just want a system that will play your games, it will be a more powerful system, it will have lots of support behind it, and you want to save a little bit of money and get free games in the process, I would highly recommend the PlayStation 4. It is a phenomenal system. It is excellent. The only thing I really don't like about the console itself is I feel like, I'm saying this right now, but I'm predicting it, I feel like the PlayStation 4 will have a higher failure rate, console-wise, over the Xbox One. Due to the fact that the PlayStation 4, they put so much power in it and then put the power supply inside of it and made the system small. So the thing gets hotter and the fans ramp up on there compared to the Xbox One, where it just purrs and it doesn't make any noise and it stays cool no matter what I do. Honestly, I feel like all of that could have been remedied if they just did the same thing Microsoft did and made an external power brick. People like to make fun of that, but hey, I would rather have, an external power brick and space over an internal power brick and no space and risk, heating up my console and killing it early. But that is just me right there. But I'm not trying to scare anyone from getting a PlayStation 4. I mean, hell, I have one right there. But I'm just saying that is my prediction on there. Now, on the flip side, if you are wanting to play games and such, but you would also really like to balance that out with multimedia, with Netflix, with snapping between apps and everything, with having one system that'll pretty much do everything for you, both social-wise, gaming-wise, entertainment-wise, which wouldn't be both anymore because now that's 3 things. I would highly recommend the Xbox One. But it also depends on some other factors. What games do you like the most? And look at exclusives and such. Do you want to be killing zombies in Dead Rising, racing cars in Forza, or do you want to be continuing the Killzone legacy? Because there are people who are really big Killzone fans, and I can see that. It is a pretty good series for what it is. Or maybe you want to try something wacky like Knack. Maybe you want to try something different, some of the awesome indie games that are out, like Don't Starve, which technically isn't an exclusive but was put out for free, or a game like Contrast, which to me is a real treat. Yes, it's not the best game out there, but it is interesting enough to the point where I want to keep playing it and I'm really fascinated with it. The only other thing really making the choice between the two, I would say, is friends. I'm saying that because don't make this your only thing. Don't just say, I'm going to get a PlayStation 4 because all my friends are getting it, or I'm going to get an Xbox One because all my friends are getting it. I'm not saying make that your only reason. But I will say this, if you are planning to play online and all that, or even occasionally you want to do it, it would kind of suck if all of your friends are on the opposite platform and you really have no one to play with that you know. So kind of take that into account as well. Now, I myself, I'm not a big online person. So for me, I don't mind that much. On my Xbox, I only have a few people I play online with. On the PlayStation, I have like 15 people on my friends list. And I've actually played online on the PS4. It actually worked fine. There was no issue with it. I was surprised. But that is another thing I'd recommend taking into account. Now, the final question I want to answer to wrap up this whole comparison and whatnot. Which system is better? PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One? I would say I've had, good experiences with both of them. I've had more than enough time to judge, and I've really enjoyed, the moments I've had playing these systems. But I have to say, I've had more fun with the PlayStation 4, and that might be attributed to the fact that I haven't owned it for as long, because I've talked to several people who got the PS4 first, Xbox One second, and they say the Xbox One is a much better system. But I'll say I've had more fun with the PlayStation 4. Now, yes, the Xbox One has some great games on it. It is fun to play. I really like the UI on there and everything. But the PlayStation 4 is the most next-gen of the systems out of all of them, and developers really know what they're doing this time around on it. Games play better on there. Sony actually fixed up their issues and such. With security, maybe not as much, because PSN did get their accounts compromised again. Let's just be real here. But games just play and look better on there. And there is something with it. I don't know. I talked about it with a friend who owns an Xbox One, and I feel like nobody's really talked about this. But for some reason, I thought it was my eyesight, and then I thought it was my TV, and then I thought it was both. And the PlayStation 4 actually realized that my eyes are fine and my TV isn't as ancient as I thought it was. Even though, it's only a few years old, but still. There's something with the Xbox One, and I guess it's with rendering colors or something, but black on there just seems too dark, and that seems like an odd thing to say, but when you play games, and when you get to a dark section of a game, it just seems way too dark. And even if you brighten it up, it still looks dark, but then it looks washed out at the same time. I thought it was just me, but apparently I asked a friend about it, and he had the exact same issue on different games. So, I don't know, that's kind of something that bugged me with it, but aside from that, the Xbox One, it is a great system. I really do enjoy it. But with the PlayStation 4, I am enjoying that more. Now, maybe it's because I'm returning to my roots. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to abandon ship or anything, but The reason why I'm saying that is because most people have known me here for Xbox stuff, but I was really a big PlayStation fan when I was younger. The reason why I wasn't messing around with the PlayStation 3 as much is because the PlayStation 3, really disappointed me. And I don't like the system. I have a lot of things against the system. But now, not only developers, but Sony themselves have done so much good with the PlayStation 4 that to me, the PlayStation 4 is kind of like a do-over. To me, this is now the 2013-2014 version of what the PlayStation 3 was supposed to be this whole time. And I will say that will probably be 100% confirmed for me once I see Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy Versus 13, or now Final Fantasy 15 running. Because I will say those are the two games that really made me want to get a PS3. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you for watching, everyone. Sorry if this is a little bit drawn out. I am tired, but hey, what can you do? Anyways, have a good day.